Hi friends, it's Carly and I am here with another review and I am so excited for the figure I have to show you today. So I received this figure in the mail a couple of days ago and I've sort of toiled over whether I wanted to open him or not for a few reasons, not the least of which was how incredible he looked in the package. But I ultimately decided that I had to take him out and just get my hands on him and see if he was as good as he looks in hand. And I'm really excited to share with you everything that I found out. So let's get right into our figure for today. We will be looking at the Sword of the Spirit version of Mortal Kombat Spawn. So taking a look at him from top to bottom, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with this figure and why I was so excited to be able to get one at all. So essentially, the pre-orders for this figure went up, and to my understanding, this is the first highly articulated Spawn figure to come out in literal years. So I know that fans of Spawn himself have been just absolutely over the moon excited to get this figure, get their hands on him, see him in person. And at the time that the pre-orders were supposed to be released was when COVID-19 happened. And as we all know, the world has been just a crazy mess ever since then. There's just been something, it seems, every single week. And because of that, a lot of people have not gotten their pre-orders. I know there were some situations with retailers canceling the pre-orders on these, and some are just still waiting. And then, to add more to it, obviously the pre-order sold out. It was hugely popular, so they decided to do another run, which should be, fingers crossed, released August 28th. But when they did that, they decided to change the accessory. So rather than the Sword of the Spirit, they will be releasing a mace that will come with him. So sword version might be a little bit difficult to come by from here on out. I got very lucky to find this through a friend who shared a link with me. And I will share the link of the retailer. I believe that the company is called D-Pin, d-pin.com. But I will make sure and I'll share the link because the process of shopping with them was fantastic. I ordered him, I got him in 3 days, and he was in perfect, beautiful condition. There was no insane markup. It was just a really great shopping experience. So there's still some out there, but I think a lot of people who didn't get in on the pre-order are probably going to end up with a mace. So I just wanted to show off this figure though and let you guys know if you haven't gotten this figure, if you are waiting on yours, it is so worth it. If you didn't order it, order the mace version. I already have. It is incredible. So right off the bat, what we can see, we know that McFarlane is going to do a beautiful job with this because it is their property, and the paintwork is absolutely stellar right off the bat. The thing that stands out most to me on the head, here are the several paint points, but starting with the head are the shadows around the eyes and the incredible glow. It literally looks like he's lit from within. The way that they did the paintwork on this. The colors are perfect, the shadowing is perfect, the depth and detail that they put into every part of this figure is just absolutely amazing for the price point. So we can see, it looks like they used some dry brushing techniques to add sort of shadow in here, in the creases around his eyes. And we see that also in the cloak, the lowlights, if you will, or wear or dust, dirt, charcoal, burns, whatever you want to think of them as. The painting is so in-depth and so in detail that there's literally something to look at on every single portion of this figure. Down to the spikes on his wristbands, arm guards, his ankle guards, I guess. Every single one of these spikes has its own detail. So you can see that there is a metallic finish on most of them, but some of them have that sort of dry brush technique used where they look dull, worn, they're not as sharp. Maybe they have some battle damage to them. That gives you the idea that he's using this armor and he's using different parts of it more than others. This looks like the most worn maybe even has like a bone look to it, although it is metallic. This is Hellspawn armor, so who knows what the bones of demons and Hellspawn are made of, but there's all kinds of interesting depth and detail to look at on every piece of this armor. His belt is a rubberized sort of vinyl with an awesome skull sculpture here, and the spikes on it are really cool. And that detail carries through to the back of the figure. You can see that back here. All of the detail and all of the paintwork carries through to the back of the figure, which, as we all know, should be the standard. Of course, why wouldn't you finish the back? But we know that also that doesn't always happen. So it's great to see that every single part of this figure, top to bottom, 365, benefits from beautiful, well thought out, in-depth, and excellently executed paintwork. The sculpt on this too is one that I find most impressive, probably out of all of the figures that I have. It is literally almost artwork. I mean, to say almost, it is artwork. It's sculptural in a way that I feel like I want to display it. It just doesn't feel like a toy. It feels like a piece of artwork. You can see the musculature, and it particularly stands out to me as being effective on his shoulders, his thighs, and his chest. So every single sinew, every single piece of muscle on his body has depth, has a taut sort of feel to it. It feels like he is ready to pounce. You can feel his strength, and it's just, I just can't describe how impressive it is in person. It doesn't feel like a toy. It feels like some sort of ancient, I don't know, like a relic, not like a relic, but like a tribute to an ancient monster. I mean, it's impressive. I'm not overstating it. I'm kind of excited about it because we don't see this kind of work put into a figure at this price point. And I talk about that a lot, that I want to see consistency, and that's something I'm going to talk about. It's not a criticism of this figure, but with McFarlane toys overall, and we'll get into that in a second. But seeing that this is possible just gives me so much more hope for what's coming up from McFarlane and from other lines, knowing that this can happen. And granted, they might have put a little bit of further TLC into Spawn because McFarlane, but it shows us what's possible in our magic number $20 price point range. So the only accessory that he comes with is his Sword of the Spirit. We're going to look at that really quick, and then we will get into his points of articulation. This is another thing that I'm so impressed with on this figure. This sword actually has a depth of detail that requires taking a closer look, which, you know, I am always very critical of weapons, and never happens for me. I never get a weapon that I'm 100% happy with. This I'm not only 100% happy with, but there's things to talk about with it, which has never happened for me before. So the grip has all kinds of battle wear. You can see where the hand holds the sword with dirt, grime, maybe it's a little bit of charcoal, who knows, but you can see that this sword is used. The detail and the texture down the middle of the blade, along the sides of the blade, and again, the dry brushing technique used along the blade to give depth, to show dings in the blade itself, are just so incredible. Look at the sculpt, look at the detail, look at the fine points of the detail on this weapon, in addition to it being reasonably substantial for a plastic sword this size, which we never ever see. I can't say enough about this accessory. It's really beautifully executed from top to bottom. It looks like a battle-worn sword, and it looks like a sword that you would use to kill demons, which is what it is. So I'm just over the moon about this weapon. Now, getting into the points of articulation with Spawn, again, everything is something to be excited about. With the head, as you guys know, when they use these vinyl capes and cloaks, a lot of times we have hindrance in the movement of the head, but on this figure, they really thought that out. So you can see where the dip, which is that is how his cloak is. I'm not saying that they reinvented the wheel for this figure, but they did give a little bit of room. It's the depth behind the neck that they gave us that allows him to easily look up and hold that pose, look down and hold that pose, look left and look right. So we have no hindrance of movement in the neck because of the cloak, which is impressive. I love to see that. I love when they don't miss that detail. His arms are easy to move and have several points, let's see, like several click-throughs here. Let's look. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 different points, and you can stop anywhere in between as well. So that is excellent movement. In his bicep, we have turning 360 degrees. And then he has a double jointed elbow that even with his armor gets really great movement. His hand turns behind this cuff, which is really impressive. And both of his hands are sword ready. We can see. So the movement in the arms is fantastic. In his torso, we've got a little bit of forward motion, not too much, but it's fine. And a little bit of backward motion, which is great. He turns in the torso, which affects the graphic and kind of bothers me a little bit, but so I kind of do wish that the turning in the waist was actually down here in the waist, but the fact that he has that turning is what he really needs, and you get a lot of like leaning. So I understand why they did that. It's more of a 360 degree motion that you couldn't get if you had the turning in the waist. But having additional turning in the waist, I think I would like to, because I really want to keep his emblem intact when I'm posing him. And you sort of lose that effect if you turn him up here in the torso. That's a very small criticism because the movement itself is fantastic. His legs also easily go all the way out. And as with the arms, look at how easily we're able to click through all of the different points. We can just gently sort of touch them and go through each point. Up and down. There are 7. So that's fantastic. He turns, his knees are double jointed and work great. And you guys know I love a foot that turns at the ankle and not at the boot. So these feet, it's hard to show on this one, but both of them, even with the ankle guard, turn all the way around 360 degrees. McFarlane always does the articulated toe. So we've got that goes all the way up and down. Not the most useful, but good for posing. And the ankle itself all the way up and down. So as you guys, I'm sure have noticed, I am absolutely over the moon about this figure. I'm so excited about him. I love him so much. I do not regret for 1 second opening him. And something that it's hard to sort of demonstrate on film when I'm going through the points of articulation in the paint, you can see everything that I'm talking about. But when you hold this figure in your hands, it's an experience. He's heavy, he's hefty, he's bulky, he feels like artwork. I can't say that enough. Like, he feels like something significant. And I just can't talk enough about how impressive he is on every level, from the way that he looks, to the way that he feels in hand, to the way that he moves. Everything about this figure was worth it for me. And I can't wait to get my Mace version. And I can't speak enough for how much I recommend anybody to get this figure. If you're a Spawn fan, I know you're already way on top of it. If you're not a Spawn fan and you skipped it because you don't really care about Spawn or Mortal Kombat, get this figure. If you don't even know who Spawn is and you just like toys, get this figure. Order the Mace version that's coming out. Everything about him is so incredibly impressive. I can't say enough. I'm going to have to stop because this video will be too long, but please, please take advantage of whatever opportunity you have to pick this figure up. He is so well worth it. That said, oh, I also forgot to mention he comes with a little stand here in the box. So he will stand easily if you use that. So that will bring me to my next topic, which will be McFarlane toys. And I've talked about this in the past, how all of their figures seem a little bit one-off for me. This is an absolute exception to that. This is a fantastic piece of artwork. But the next figure I'm going to talk about was requested by one of my viewers. I showed one of the Wonder Woman 1984 figures, and I'm going to go ahead and do a full review of Wonder Woman 1984 and Wonder Woman in her Golden Eagle armor, and talk to you about the one-offs on McFarlane toys. In light of seeing this Spawn figure, I know now that it doesn't have to be that way at the price point that we're used to, the sort of magic number $20. So I'm going to be exploring a little bit more what we see regularly with what's possible with a figure like this. Please share with me what you guys think of the Spawn figure. If you haven't gotten him yet, as I said, I'm going to share the retailer I picked him up from, although I did get the last one. But share where you're finding him. Share your thoughts about him. I've seen a couple people replace this cloak with a wired one, so they get that full fabric effect that Spawn is kind of famous for. Let me know if you're doing any other types of customs to this figure, or if you're just happy with him the way he is. Let me know if you left him in the box and this is the first time you've seen him out in the wild, or out in full form. I'm really excited to talk about this one. I want to hear what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I will be back the day after tomorrow, which is Friday, to talk to you about Wonder Woman 1984 McFarlane, and we will be back with that. Thank you guys so much, and I look forward to doing another video. Have a great day, friends. See you soon. Bye.